Hi, my name is Grace Noonan, and I am an LDS Forever Fellow, and I'm going into my third year next year, and I am a biology major.
Hello, my name is Rachel. I was a GLS Fellow for GLS 101 and the Fellows Practicum course. I'm a senior and I'm a social work major.
Hello, my name is Jacqueline, and I am a third-year student at Stony Brook University. I am currently a studio art major, and I was an undergraduate college fellow for global studies.
So, as a fellow, I did a lot of the outreach to the students. I created a group me, which was really good because we got to talk in a more relaxed environment, and then also doing emails and a lot of the announcements on Blackboard reminding about certain assignments or different events that were coming up that are really crucial for like the Connect, Plan, Expand stuff. So definitely outreach, and also just keeping the class engaged was a very important part of my duty as a fellow.
Both times my instructors were both very clear. I had Stephanie Drosba over in financial aid and Amber Kimberline, who's the GLS advisor. But both times they were very clear about my role, what they expected of me in the classroom, things like attendance, sending out weekly emails, but also sending out like personal emails if we noticed a student was falling behind or something like that. Assignment reminders, simple things like that. But also what their role was to be, how the dynamic was going to work in the classroom, what exactly, like if we were presenting a PowerPoint, be like, I'll do this slide, you do this slide, things like that. Who was going to answer what questions, who was, just very clear about what they wanted me to do as their fellow.
My duties went for being a fellow. Me and my instructor pretty much took a co-teaching approach. We split up the topics that we talked about. We always planned beforehand who would talk about which slide and who would facilitate which discussion. My main role as a fellow in the classroom was kind of like I just said. We were co-teachers, so whatever we decided, who would talk about what, that was figured out beforehand, and then that would happen in class, hopefully.
Well, I felt like I was a bridge between the instructor and the students because I was somewhere in the middle where I'm only a year older than the first year students, and I just went through those same experiences that those first years are going through right now or at that moment, and I felt like it was easier for me to connect with them while the instructor kind of gave the more like straight facts of what Stony Brook has to offer. I was there to be the reality check, like, all right, well, yes, this does happen, but make sure you look out for this and that. So I was the bridge that connected the two.
Methods of communication did me and my instructor use? So for my one-on-one course, it was mainly emails, weekly emails, and then weekly meetings as well to discuss like what class was going to look like that week, what we were going to present, if we were going to deviate from the syllabus or anything like that, and just really explaining why we were teaching what we were teaching, which was really nice. For the Fellows Practicum, it was mainly email, text, and weekly meetings, and it was most of the same thing, going over what the schedule for the class was going to look like that week, why we were doing what we were doing. And I think that's one thing that's definitely helpful to ask of your instructor is why we're doing what we're doing, because that can help you answer questions and sort of guide students in the right direction if needed. And again, both of my instructors were really fantastic at communication. I never felt unsupported by them in that aspect.
As far as methods of communication, we met once a week for about an hour, and otherwise we could email, or my instructor also gave us her phone number, so we could reach out to her whenever we had a question regarding the material or class for that week.
We used Gmail because it was just more professional that way, and also we would respond back and forth pretty quickly, so there was no worry about, oh, if I email him now maybe he won't respond until like later in the day. Now we would go back and forth, so as long as the mode of communication that you're using is fast and reliable and that you and the fellow are comfortable using, then it's all good.
Did my instructor expect of me? basic things: respect, being on time, knowing the material, never coming to class and being like, I have no idea what we're doing. And again, support, just supporting them, because instructors have a lot of work to do. And again, supporting students. What did I expect of them? Communication, clear expectations, and understanding. You know, I am still a college student, so it can be difficult to juggle a lot of roles, but both my instructors were very understanding. Never once did I feel I had disappointed them, so that was really good. Having them communicate to me what the dynamic of the classroom was going to be like, the very specific roles that both her and I would play.
My instructor just expected me to be punctual, even early, just to discuss things about the class that day. Even after class, if something was wrong or anything to discuss for the future classes. Also, to just be engaged in the class, not just sitting there, just like listening, like to actually encourage participation from the students, and also to talk about my experiences and my views and try to get a big discussion going.
My instructor's expectations for me were that I was prepared for class, that I took it seriously, that I would always reach out to her with any questions that I had and communicate openly if I ever had a problem with the way she was doing something, or if I just had a question in general. And then as far as what I expected of my instructor was pretty much the same thing, that she would communicate with me if she had an issue with the way I was doing something. Also that she actually gave me the room to grow and to learn as a TA co-instructor. So that was nice to be able to grow in that position.
And then what is some advice that you would give to your instructor? Just communication. Always communicate. You know, you might think that, oh, my fellow is going to just know to do this, right? Just, it's better to be safe than sorry. So always be communicating your expectations of them, what you want them to do. And just a clear expectation of, like, give a clear expectation of their role versus your role and how you want them to support you. I think that's honestly the best way to really establish a good relationship between fellow and instructor, is just always communicate. Never make assumptions, never leave anything to like, oh, I think they'll know this. Just communicate it. I think that's the best thing possible. And good luck. I know everyone's gonna do great.
All I expected between me and the instructor was just respect and teamwork and lots of communication, because all those things together really help to make the LDS 101 experience very, very awesome.
Challenges that I faced as a fellow were getting the class to talk. A lot of the times they weren't really in a talkative mood, so a lot of the times we had to try to find ways to engage with them, whether it was with snacks or just interesting discussions or group activities. It was probably one of the hardest things about being a fellow. Me and my instructor were pretty much on the same page about this challenge. Every day, every week during our meeting, we would talk about, you know, who spoke up during class, and how we can work harder next week to try to get them to engage a little bit more openly.
Question 6. Any challenges? How or when did you communicate these challenges to your instructor? So I TA'd for LDS 101 and 102 with the same instructor, and during LDS 101 there was a student that stopped showing up to class, or when he did, it was like more than halfway when the class was almost over, and by the first or second time he did this after class, we always have our meetings, so I was like, hey, you know, the student, he's not really engaged in class and he's not really showing up that much. I think we should talk to Candace. So he totally agreed, and we went to Candace right around the corner, and we helped set an appointment for that student to visit Candace. Although that student never took any more initiative to participate in the class, when he was in LDS 102, I could see that he wanted to do better, and me and the instructor just like pushed him. We're like, yes, like keep going, don't give up, like just we'll be here for you. And it turned out great. He did great in LDS 102. So definitely a challenge that was overcome.
Some advice that I would give to an instructor about how to include their fellow in the class would be to definitely meet at least once a week to talk about what you're going to do. I find that that was really effective, so that we had a game plan, so that it wasn't just like the fellow me, you know, trying to jump into the conversation. It was already planned out. Like, this was what I was going to take the lead on. And that was really helpful, because otherwise I might have felt like I couldn't speak up or afraid to kind of step on the instructor's toes. So I think having that open line of communication with your fellow and giving them that room to grow and learn and improve as a facilitator and a mentor for the students.
Well, definitely take turns talking about certain topics in class. Like, don't have one person talking more versus the other. Kind of give hints, like nudges, like, hey, like, oh, well, what did you think of this experience? Or what is your view on this event? Because that'll help create some diverse discussions and also keep the students awake. Like, it's not just one voice the whole time, you know? Also, besides just discussions, I think having hands-on activities or videos or just diverse media in general keeps the students engaged and just like they want to participate, and it'll make it so much easier if you have those group activities that they can just talk to each other and then talk to the big group. So yeah.